Last month, I received a letter that stopped me in my tracks. Margaret, a 68-year-old widow, wrote, "Dr. Bennett, everyone expects me to be done with sex at my age, but I'm not ready to give up that part of myself. My new partner and I want to be intimate, but I don't know if my body can handle it anymore. Am I too old for passion?" Margaret's letter represents a silent crisis affecting millions of seniors. Society tells us that sexuality ends at retirement age, but groundbreaking research reveals something that will shock you. Seniors with active, satisfying sex lives live longer, stay mentally sharp, and experience significantly better overall health than those who've given up on intimacy. I'm Dr. Laura Bennett from Men's Health Insights, and after 15 years treating sexual health issues across all ages, I've discovered that the difference between seniors who thrive sexually and those who don't comes down to 5 specific factors that have nothing to do with age. What I'm about to share could transform not just your sex life, but your entire approach to aging. The research I'm about to reveal followed over 15,000 adults across Germany for nearly a decade, and the results challenge everything we think we know about sexuality and aging. The seniors who reported the highest sexual satisfaction weren't just happier. They showed cognitive function equivalent to people 10 years younger and had significantly lower rates of depression, heart disease, and overall mortality. Today, I'm revealing the 5 predictors that separate sexually thriving seniors from those who've resigned themselves to celibacy. More importantly, I'll show you exactly how to cultivate these factors starting today, regardless of your current age or situation. Before we dive into the research, I want to hear from you. Have you been told that sexual desire naturally disappears with age? Drop a comment sharing your biggest concern about maintaining intimacy as you get older. I read every comment and often provide personalized guidance based on your specific situation. Let me tell you what happened to Margaret after we worked together. Within 6 months, she went from feeling sexually invisible to enjoying the most fulfilling, intimate relationship of her life. Her transformation wasn't magic. It was science applied with precision and compassion. The landmark German Aging Survey tracked participants from 2002 through 2014, dividing them into 2 groups: middle-aged adults between 40, 64, and seniors over 65. With over 5,000 participants in each wave of data collection, this represents one of the most comprehensive studies ever conducted on sexuality and aging. The results shattered common assumptions about aging and sexual desire. While overall sexual satisfaction did decline with age, the variation within the senior group was enormous. Some 75-year-olds reported higher sexual satisfaction than 45-year-olds. The key wasn't age, it was the presence or absence of specific protective factors. The first factor that predicts sexual satisfaction after 65 will surprise you. It's not physical health, though that matters. It's the belief that sexuality remains important throughout life. Seniors who rated intimacy and sexuality as highly important on a scale of 1-7 were 3 times more likely to report high sexual satisfaction, regardless of their physical health status. This finding reveals something profound about human sexuality. When we mentally write off sex as unimportant or inappropriate for our age, our bodies follow suit. The brain is our most powerful sexual organ, and when we convince ourselves that passion has an expiration date, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Robert, a 72-year-old patient, exemplifies this principle. When he first came to see me, he'd been celibate for 3 years following his wife's death. "I figured that chapter of my life was over," he told me. Through counseling and gradual mindset shifts, Robert reconnected with his sexuality and is now in a thriving relationship with a 68-year-old partner. "I feel like I've been reborn," he shared recently. The second critical factor is physical health, but not in the way you might expect. The study found that seniors who rated their health as good or excellent were significantly more likely to maintain sexual satisfaction, even when they had multiple chronic conditions. This suggests that perceived health matters as much as objective health measures. Here's what this means practically. Taking active steps to maintain your health, regular exercise, proper nutrition, medication compliance, doesn't just extend your life, it extends your sexual life. Every positive health choice you make today is an investment in your future sexual satisfaction. The cardiovascular system that supports sexual function is the same system that supports overall health. Research shows that men with erectile dysfunction often have their first heart attack within 5 years, making sexual health an early warning system for cardiovascular disease. For women, the relationship between health and sexuality is equally strong. Postmenopausal changes affect not just reproductive organs, but overall energy, mood, and body image. However, women who maintain their health through this transition often experience what researchers call sexual renaissance, renewed interest and satisfaction in their intimate lives. The third factor addresses an epidemic among seniors that's silently destroying sexual satisfaction: loneliness. The study found that isolated seniors were 67% less likely to report sexual satisfaction, even when they had willing partners. Loneliness doesn't just affect your mood, it physically changes your brain chemistry in ways that suppress sexual desire. Social connection activates the same neurochemical pathways involved in sexual arousal and satisfaction. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone released during social interaction, also plays a crucial role in sexual response. When we're socially isolated, our capacity for intimate connection diminishes across all relationships. Dorothy, an 81-year-old artist, came to me feeling sexually dead, despite being in good physical health. Through our conversations, I discovered she'd become increasingly isolated after retirement. We worked on rebuilding her social connections through community activities and regular contact with family. As her loneliness decreased, her sexual interest returned dramatically. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires intentionality. Regular contact with friends and family, participation in community activities, even something as simple as weekly phone calls can maintain the social connections that support sexual health. The fourth factor reveals a stark gender disparity that demands attention. Women over 65 were significantly less likely to report sexual satisfaction than men of the same age. This difference isn't inevitable. It's largely due to treatable physical and hormonal changes that occur after menopause. Declining estrogen levels cause vaginal dryness, reduced blood flow to genital tissues, and changes in sensation that can make sexual activity uncomfortable or painful. Many women interpret these changes as signals that their sexual life should end, when in fact, they're highly treatable conditions. Modern hormone replacement therapy, when appropriate, can restore much of what's lost during menopause. For women who can't or choose not to use systemic hormones, local estrogen therapy can dramatically improve vaginal health and sexual comfort. Additionally, newer treatments like platelet-rich plasma therapy and laser treatments show promising results for sexual rejuvenation. The tragedy is that many women suffer in silence, assuming these changes are inevitable and untreatable. Healthcare providers often don't ask about sexual health, and patients feel uncomfortable bringing it up. This communication breakdown condemns millions of women to unnecessary sexual dissatisfaction. Linda, a 66-year-old teacher, hadn't been intimate with her husband for 2 years due to painful intercourse. She assumed this was normal aging until a routine appointment led to discussion of her symptoms. After 3 months of localized estrogen therapy and regular use of high-quality lubricants, she and her husband resumed a satisfying sexual relationship. The fifth and final factor might be the most important: cognitive function. The study found that seniors with better cognitive performance were significantly more likely to maintain sexual satisfaction. This makes sense when you consider that sexual response involves complex neurological processes, including arousal, fantasy, emotional connection, and physical coordination. Cognitive decline doesn't just affect memory. It affects your ability to become aroused, maintain focus during intimate moments, and communicate with your partner about desires and needs. However, the relationship between cognitive function and sexuality appears to be bidirectional. Regular sexual activity may also help preserve cognitive function. Sexual activity increases blood flow to the brain, releases beneficial hormones, and provides the kind of complex physical and emotional stimulation that builds cognitive reserve. Some researchers theorize that maintaining an active sex life might be one of the best investments you can make in long-term brain health. The practical implications of this research are clear. Sexual satisfaction after 65 isn't about luck or genetics. It's about specific, modifiable factors that you can influence starting today. First, examine your beliefs about sexuality and aging. Challenge ageist assumptions that passion has an expiration date. Second, prioritize your physical health not just for longevity, but for quality of life, including sexual satisfaction. Regular cardiovascular exercise, strength training, and flexibility work all support sexual function. Third, actively combat loneliness by maintaining and building social connections. This might mean joining clubs, volunteering, scheduling regular contact with friends and family, or even adopting a pet. Fourth, if you're a woman experiencing postmenopausal changes, know that effective treatments exist. Don't accept painful or uncomfortable sex as inevitable. Fifth, protect your cognitive function through lifelong learning, social engagement, physical activity, and yes, sexual activity. The brain-body connection in sexuality means that keeping your mind sharp supports sexual satisfaction and vice versa. The seniors who thrive sexually into their 80s and beyond aren't lucky, they're intentional. They reject society's ageist assumptions about sexuality, they prioritize their health, they maintain social connections, they address medical issues that interfere with sexual function, and they keep their minds active and engaged. Sexual satisfaction after 65 isn't just possible. For those who understand and apply these principles, it can be better than it was in middle age. Margaret, the widow who wrote to me feeling sexually invisible, recently sent another letter. She's now 70 and describes her current relationship as the most sexually fulfilling of her life. "I thought my passionate years were behind me," she wrote. "Instead, I've discovered they were just beginning." Your sexual story doesn't end at 65 or 75 or even 85. With the right knowledge, support, and medical care, your most satisfying intimate years might still be ahead of you. The choice is yours. Accept society's limiting beliefs about aging and sexuality, or take control of the factors that predict sexual satisfaction throughout life. Your future self will thank you for the investments you make in sexual health today. If this research has opened your eyes to new possibilities for aging and sexuality, share your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you most about these findings? What steps will you take to support your sexual health as you age? Subscribe to Men's Health Insights for more evidence-based content about sexual health across the lifespan. Remember, you're never too old for passion, pleasure, and intimate connection. The science proves it. Now it's up to you to live it.